today's video, we're going to be going over the best weightlifting technique for maximum muscle growth. Now, this is confusing for a lot of people because a lot of the top bodybuilders have very different technique and they each swear by it. So in this video, we're going to be going over what the science and the pros say about weightlifting technique. Alright, so in this section of the video, we're going to be going over a couple key principles for form that almost all of the top bodybuilders and researchers agree on. So the first one is going to be controlling the negative. So negatives are the lowering portion of a lift. So let's say I'm doing a cable curl. This is the positive, this is the negative. Or there's the concentric, there's the eccentric. Those are just some other names for it. So during the negative, almost everyone agrees that in order to maximize muscle growth, you want to control it at least a little bit. So for example, I wouldn't just curl and then let it go. I'd at least control it to some extent. The second principle for weightlifting technique that a lot of experts agree on is full range of motion. So what this means is that doing a bicep curl, if I'm only doing like from here to here, I'm probably not getting as much muscle damage as I would from going here to here. So getting the full stretch. The squeeze is not as important, so I guess full range of motion would apply less when it comes to the squeeze. So for example, this is still a really good technique. You don't have to go all the way here. The third principle for weightlifting technique that is widely agreed upon is stretch emphasis. So what this means is you want to prioritize the stretch in a movement. So for example, let's say we're doing bench press. If I'm coming and stopping short right here, that's actually not very good for muscle growth compared to coming all the way down here. But also the stretch is the most important part. So if I'm getting the stretch and I'm not getting the full squeeze and I'm going all the way to here and coming back, that's probably just as or more muscle growth promoting than if I did the full range of motion. So the fourth principle for weightlifting technique, and the last one that we're going to cover in today's video, is continuous muscle tension throughout a movement. So what this means is, so let's say we're doing a bicep curl and it's a dumbbell curl. And I'm curling and at the top, I'm stopping up here or I'm going all the way up. That's not going to get me any more gains, and it might even get me less gains than coming and stopping here, because at the top right here, there's no tension on my bicep anymore. Right here, there's a lot of tension. Right here, there's almost none. So that is the fourth and last principle. So in this next section of the video, we're going to be looking at and going over some of the top bodybuilders' form. So we're going to be going over Samson Dauda, Nick Walker, and Chris Bumstead's some of their back training videos and see how their form looks. Alright guys, so now we're going to be looking at some footage of Nick Walker doing T-bar rows, and we're going to see what we can learn from this clip. Alright, so the first thing that is easily identifiable is that his negatives are really slow and he's getting a really deep stretch and actually pausing there. And he doesn't spend too much time at the squeeze. Alright guys, so now we're going to be going over a clip of Samson Dauda's back workout, and we're going to be seeing what we can learn from it. Alright, so the first thing that is really easy to identify is that he's using a very full range of motion. And some other things are, his negatives are about as fast as his positives. He's not going very slow on the negatives, and it's one fluid motion. He's not pausing in the stretch or in the squeeze. Also, he's doing a really good job of controlling the weight. He's not cheating at all. So that's for Samson Dauda. The last bodybuilder we're going to look at today is Chris Bumstead. We're going to look at a clip of him doing lat pull downs and see what we can learn from it. Alright, so the first thing that we can easily notice is that he's, again, like all the other bodybuilders we looked at, he's getting a full range of motion. His negative times are a little bit slower than Samson Dauda's and definitely faster than Nick Walker's, and he's getting a quick pause at the stretch. That's it for Chris Bumstead. Alright, so three of the biggest takeaways we can get from the clips we saw of these top bodybuilders is that some of the most important things that matter in weightlifting technique is full range of motion, getting that deep stretch, and don't cheat too much. Alright, so now in this section of the video, we're going to discuss slow negatives, because as you saw in the last section, not all of these top bodybuilders use slow negatives. Of course, they all control their negatives, but they're not all very slow with several seconds in the eccentric. So are they really proven to work? Well, there are some hypertrophy benefits, but they're actually very low compared to not slow negatives. However, in order to get the same stimulus without slow negatives, versus with, you're gonna have to use heavier weights if you're going without slow negatives. So the ability to use lighter weight while using slower negatives means reduced joint stress. And also personally, when I use slower negatives, I usually get a better pump. So yeah. All right, so now I'm gonna talk to you guys about which one's more important, the stretch or the contraction. So just to make sure we're all on the same page, the stretch is the part like this, the bottom of the rep, where your muscle is the most stretched. The contraction is where it's squeezed or flexed, as a lot of people call it. So according to science, when you're doing an exercise, the stretch is almost always more important for muscle growth. So the contraction still has some value, which for me, the main value in contracting is getting a good pump. But in general, when you pick exercises, you should pick exercises that have a high amount of tension on the stretch, and some tension in the contraction is okay, but just make sure it's usually more in the stretch than in the contraction, and you'll have a great exercise. All right, guys, that's basically the end of this video. Just some things to take away are: make sure to use a full range of motion, make sure to emphasize the stretch, make sure to control your negatives, and make sure you don't cheat too much. All right, that's the end of this video. Make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and if you're looking for diet advice, check out our main gaining and bulking videos. See you here again next time.